Hi guys, so today I am going to be doing a review and first impression on two products that I've picked up recently, both Maybelline products. We're going to be doing the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy+Smooth and also the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. So both of these products I actually saw Karima McKinney use and thought that I would love to try them on my dehydrated skin. Now I'm really excited to try this because apparently it's just the most amazing concealer. Her channel has made me reconsider like what sort of products I should be using on my skin. And I am thinking I might look into more of the products for mature skin, because the dehydrated skin creating the fine lines and looking powdery and all of that, that is an issue that people with mature skin tend to have. So it may actually work really well on my skin. And I have been struggling to find a really nice foundation recently because my skin is so dehydrated. So I thought trying the Maybelline Fit Me would be a great start. If it looks dewy and smooth, I'm going to be very happy. So I've moisturised my face and applied my sunscreen. I am just going to chuck on the Too Faced Hangover Primer. I always wear a primer because my skin's so dehydrated. Now it's just a glass bottle and you're going to have to dump it out. I really don't like that in a foundation. I much prefer something with a pump. I feel like these are quite messy. So in the foundation, I've picked up the shade 120. I can already tell this is going to be a little bit dark for me, which is unfortunate. If it works really well, I'll pick it up in a lighter color anyway. So on one side of my face, I'm going to apply it with the XO flat beauty brush, and the other side I'll be using my beauty blender. It is quite a thick consistency, like it's not running at all on my hand. So my brush is soaking up quite a bit of the product, so I think I might be better off dotting it onto my face. That works a lot better. So there you can see one layer of foundation. I mean, it's definitely left me with a really beautiful dewy complexion. It's got, I would probably say, a light medium coverage on the more medium side of light or the lighter side of medium. Let's dot it on the other side of my face here, and I'll use the beauty blender. So that definitely gives me a more sheer application, but I quite like it. I feel like it's applied more smoothly on the side with the beauty blender, so I'm just going to go over the other side with the beauty blender. I feel like that's done a much better job. So my preferred method of application is probably going to be to dot it on, buff it in with the brush, and then go over it with the beauty blender. So far my first impression of this is that it looks beautiful and dewy and smooth. It hasn't picked up any skin texture. It hasn't sunken into any of my lines. I would say it's a solid medium coverage. So it says it hydrates and smooths skin texture for a natural luminous finish. I would absolutely agree with that. It's fragrance free, which is great. Like, it smells really nice and light. Interesting, it says fragrance free, but then one of the ingredients is fragrance. It comes in 16 shades. There's not a lot of dark shades or lighter shades, to be honest. Okay, so on to the concealer. Right, so you just wind it, and I'm guessing eventually it's going to come out of this little sponge, which is quite spongy. Okay, so it takes a lot of winding to get it to come out the top, but it's finally there. Now I've picked it up in the shade Light. So it originally came in 6 shades, now it comes in 12 shades. So this is supposed to instantly erase dark circles and fine lines. So basically it's your perfect under eye concealer. That's a whole lot lighter than it looks in the bottle. This actually might be a good colour for me. I mean, even on this, it looks really dark, but on my skin, it's definitely not anywhere near that dark. I have to say, a lot of people have said that they don't think this is hygienic because you can't wash it or anything. Well, I mean, people use their doe foot applicators and don't wash those either, so I don't really see there being a huge difference. So I'm going to blend this in with my beauty blender. That's colour corrected me up slightly. I'm just going to zoom you in to have a really good look. So I'm really impressed with how well this has covered the dark circles under my eyes without sinking into my fine lines. If this wears well, this will become my new favorite under eye concealer. So I'm just going to set everything down with the Ilia Fade Into You Soft Focus Finishing Powder. So that's set down really nicely. It's feeling beautiful on my skin as well. It's feeling really light and moisturizing or hydrating. I quite like it. So you can see that set down with the powder, it hasn't gone too cakey or anything either. The concealer claims to instantly create a radiant, refreshed looking eye area. It's also infused with goji berry and haloxyl, which I'm not sure what that is. I definitely feel like it does what it says it does, which is awesome. I'm really, really happy with this. So I'm going to go and apply the rest of my makeup and I'll come back and update you throughout the day. Okay guys, I've done my makeup for the day. I'm really, really happy with how this foundation has applied, how it's looking currently, how everything's gone on top of it. It hasn't oxidized at all, which I think is amazing. I did forget to mention earlier the price. The foundation is around the $20 New Zealand mark, and so is the concealer. I feel like $20 for a foundation or $20 for a concealer is really, really affordable. I'm really impressed with the concealer. Like, it's just sitting so nicely under my eyes. It hasn't sunk into any fine lines, neither the concealer or the foundation have. I think I look quite radiant in this foundation. Like, I know it's a dewy foundation, which is great. That's perfect for dry and dehydrated skin, but it's also really, really smoothing. Like, I think my skin looks fantastic. I did apply a little bit of the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Ethereal Light, just because I felt like the foundation was quite dark and that powder is on the whiter side. And then I sprayed everything down with Fix Plus. I finished off my makeup and just sprayed a little bit of the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Tomorrow I'm going to try out using the Glow Setter. Hey guys, so I'm back to update you. I have been wearing it for about 9 hours now. I am blown away. I haven't used a drugstore foundation or concealer or literally any drugstore product in about 10 years. This concealer has performed amazingly. My foundation is looking the best. It's just like, it's blowing my high-end foundations out of the water so far. I just can't get over how good these products are. So I'll zoom you in to have a little close-up. You can see a little bit of wear. Slight lines under my eyes, but nowhere near as bad as normal. I'm very happy with how this is worn. I would compare how it looks on my skin to the Giorgio Armani Lasting Silk, and how it's worn as well is very similar. I think this concealer might become a new favorite of mine. Like, my under eyes have not looked this good in a very long time. The cat's just coming to see me. Do you want to come and say hello, Calypso? Smile, kitty. This is Calypso. She loves me. Hey guys, so we're on day 2. So today I'm wearing a lower cut top so I can see how this shade matches me a little bit more accurately. We're going to be using the Hourglass Veil Primer to see how this performs with a different primer. I'm also going to be doing a bit more of a heavy application. I was really impressed yesterday with how long the foundation lasted before it started getting slightly powdery and settling into some of my fine lines. I'm thinking we're going to go a slightly heavier powdering on top and see how that sits with my dehydrated skin. Now, I do notice that with the Veil Primer, the more hydrated my skin gets, the longer it takes for this to settle in and turn tacky. Okay, so yesterday I found that the Beauty Blender gave the best finish, but it soaked up a lot of the product. So I'm going to apply with a brush and then go over with a Beauty Blender. I do love the XOBeauty flat face brush, but I am finding that when I dip it in, it is absorbing a lot of product into it rather than transferring it to my skin, which is not a problem I normally have with this brush. So I think the best option if you want to make this foundation last longer is to actually dot it onto your skin and then buff it in with the brush. So now that I am not wearing a turtleneck and you can actually see my chest, I would say this is actually quite a good match for me. It might be about half a shade too dark, but I do feel like with the Maybelline Fit Me, the 110 is going to be too light, the 120 is going to be too dark, so I'd have to mix shades. So let's chuck on the Instant Age Rewind concealer now. This really trips me out. Like, I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of this applicator, but the fact that it comes out looking this dark and then goes on my skin so much lighter really weirds me out. I find the applicator quite annoying because I can't actually determine how much product's coming out until I put it on my skin. I would much prefer a doe foot applicator with this so I could determine how much product is going where. The only bonus about this applicator is that for applying under the eyes, you're really not able to put too much on, so you're always getting like the perfect amount under your eyes, and obviously that helps a lot with creasing. Now let's go straight into the Ilia Fade Into You Soft Focus Finishing Powder with our Beauty Blender under our eyes. I'm using it to set rather than to bake. Okay, well that set that really nicely, so I'm just going to use my MAC 135 and that powder and just set the rest of my face very lightly. This is a beautiful finish and I would say it's a solid medium coverage, but I want to do a very full coverage look today and quite a lot of powder compared to what I normally wear, and see how this foundation holds up with that. So I'm going to take my Beauty Blender into my Stila Illuminating powder in 30 watt, and I'm actually also going to mix it into my Hourglass Ambient lighting powder in Ethereal light, and I am just going to press this all over my cheeks and forehead and nose. I'm going to stay away from my under eyes where I've already set. Now that's given me a fuller, more matte coverage. I really like mixing the ambient lighting powder and ethereal light into it because I feel like it just gives me a little bit of that like subtle lit from within glow. Now that I've powdered down, I'm going to just spray my face with Fix Plus, and I'm going to go back in with my Beauty Blender and just press all of that powder and the Fix Plus in. The heavy powdering over top of the Maybelline Fit Me Smooth and Dewy is actually looking phenomenal. I will say it is not going so well over top of the concealer. I'll zoom you in so you can have a look. I think my recommendation would be, even if you're going fuller coverage everywhere else, this concealer with dehydrated skin needs a very light hand on the powdering. So I'm going to go and do the rest of my makeup, and I will pop back and update you throughout at the end of the day to see how it's worn. Okay, so I've done my makeup now. I did actually end up taking off my under eye area and reapplying it, and I just reapplied it with a lighter powdering of powder. Yeah, I mean, it's looking so much better. Sorry about the lighting, it's sort of getting to twilight and it's a fly. It's a little bit dark and grey and stormy and rainy outside. Anyway, I have now been wearing this foundation and concealer for about 7 hours. I haven't really got any fading this time round. I am looking a little bit like dry, sort of aged under my eyes, but it hasn't really settled into my fine lines. It hasn't creased a lot. There's like just a couple of little creases. It hasn't separated. I will zoom you in so you can have a look. So you can see all in all it's looking pretty good. Compared to other foundations I've worn, this is looking the least aging and powdery out of any foundation I have worn in the last couple of years. As far as the concealer goes, I'm amazed at how well it is sitting. I do get very, very dry under my eyes. I struggle to hide those dark circles with concealer alone. I think that this concealer is better on dehydrated skin than, say, the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I would really like to try using it with some other concealers to see if I can get like a really nice consistency and mix. I might even also look at picking up a under eye corrector and trying it with that. And of course I need to get my under eyes hydrated again. The biggest part of my pregnancy that's causing the issues is that I can't use any of the eye creams I'm used to that all have vitamin A or retinol in them, and I found that that under my eyes made the biggest difference. And now that I'm unable to use them, I'm getting very, very dehydrated under here. If you have dehydrated skin, I would recommend giving both of them a go because they've outperformed all of my high-end stuff, which is not something I ever thought I would hear myself say because I have just been such a high-end makeup girl for so long. If you like this video and found it useful, please remember to subscribe and like the video. It helps me out a lot.